It ain't your grandmother's podcast.
Hey!
It's not your grandmother's Willow.
It's not your grandmother's Willow. Yeah, yeah. We just saw a banner ad for Willow, the streaming series.
It threw me for a loop because I was like, "Oh, nice, Willow's on Disney Plus," thinking it was the old '80s fantasy film starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer.
Yep.
And you enlightened me that, like all good things, they rebooted Willow for some reason. Willow wasn't a hit. And I don't even think people think of Willow fondly.
I'm not sure. I'd only seen it recently, actually, like within the past couple of years.
Oh, really?
And it's okay.
I think like a substitute teacher when I was in elementary school showed us Willow one day, and it was just like, why Willow out of all things?
Yeah, I guess because it's for kids. Not really any educational content in there.
I just remember there being some beasts that are kind of like gruesome, or they like explode or something.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff in that.
It's a weird one for kids.
Well, you know what else is for kids? The movie we're talking about today. ParaNorman.
That was our big surprise movie.
That's the big surprise.
We said we were going to have a surprise standalone film that is thematically linked to Paranormal Activity. And this is it. It's ParaNorman.
Yeah. So we're just starting out our podcast, and we're still sort of figuring things out, and we're looking at scheduling things and what's coming up and what franchises we want to cover and which ones might line up with new release movies, which is kind of interesting and so on. And one thing we were thinking too is every now and again, not after every series, but every now and again we'll have a little buffer episode, just a little taste of something different,
And this is also to make up for not being able to find the Japanese sidequel anywhere available. The Paranormal Activity Japanese sidequel. Which I don't even know if it has like a cool subtitle or anything. I think it might just be...
Yeah, it does. Okay. And I know it off by heart.
Paranormal Activity Tokyo Nights.
I'm not looking at my phone.
Paranormal Activity Tokyo Drift.
I'm pretty sure it's Tokyo Drift. What did you just say, Tokyo Night? It's Paranormal Activity 2 Tokyo Night.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Wait, Paranormal Activity 2?
Yeah, because it came out after the first one. It's like a side. It's the second...
Oh.
It came out in 2010.
Oh, so early.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's apparently just really hard to find, at least here in Canada.
Wow, it did pretty well. I mean, I don't really know necessarily what Japanese box office numbers are like, but at least here, on a budget of 1.35 million yen, it made over 40 million yen. So that's pretty good, right?
Must be, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that ever made... I mean, of course it made it over here, but...
Well, I just couldn't find it. I mean, I didn't... Now, listener, I didn't try very hard, okay? I didn't... I could have probably found it if I really wanted to.
Yeah. What do you think happens in
Paranormal
Activity 2?
I can tell you right now.
Nights? Do you
think there's a lengthy plot. There's a lengthy plot here.
Do you think it's exactly like the Paranormal Activity movies, but with a bunch of Japanese schoolgirls? Some of the idiosyncrasies of Japanese popular culture.
Yeah, it could be.
Like the teen boy he's also got spiky hair and goggles on.
Yeah, it could be like a live action anime adaptation. But I don't think so. I think it's. I mean, I guess it sort of has more in common with like J-horror tropes, right? Because it's sort of like 2010 is still kind of I guess maybe near the end of that sort of era or whatever. So it looks like. Oh boy, there's a lot to read here. It's pretty much the exact same thing. There's lots of filming, and and they have a Shinto priest come in and say, "I can't help you. There's nothing to be done." It's pretty much looks like it's pretty much the same thing.
But instead,
security footage and this and that,
but in the middle of the night, the babies do creepy crab walks and have like long, straight black hair kind of going down their faces and stuff like that. Very J horror.
Yeah, exactly. As far as I know, without looking into it or doing any research. Yeah. But we're not doing that. We're not going to watch it ever. We'll happily die before we watch it.
I don't know about that.
You think you're going to make time for that before you die?
I got us 2 tickets to Japan
to go find a copy?
To go rent it. Yes,
yeah,
and
great.
watch in a hotel room.
Dude, I would love to go to Japan. I've never been.
Me neither. But I've watched a lot of their animated pornography.
Yes, I know you have. Yeah. Yeah. The first time I ever met Alex way back in university, he invited me up to his dorm room because he wanted to show me this special videotape he had. And I thought, oh, that's kind of, it's probably a movie or something or other. We took film classes together and we were kind of.
Yeah, I knew you liked film.
Yeah, I liked film.
You appreciated world cinema.
Yeah, world cinema. So I came up and I got to his room. And it was wall to wall plastered with anime girl, like not explicitly hentai, but a lot of busty anime girl posters and so on. And he had like a body pillow, like a hentai. Sorry, I'm not using that term properly, but
no, like
an anime girl body. Pillow, yes, exactly, yes, yeah. And he put in the videotape. And that was the first time that I had ever seen hentai. Yeah. And, Alex was like, I don't know if I said anything, but I think you could tell that I was a little uncomfortable or at the very least surprised, right? And you kind of put your hand on my shoulder and said, don't worry. It's just watch the movie and get comfortable, do
relax
whatever.
A bit.
Yeah, just relax, right?
Have a drink.
He gave me a drink and he wouldn't tell me what was in it, but I drank it and, I started to feel a little woozy or whatever, but, overall, I think I have a pretty good impression of the night. We had a lot of fun. We watched a couple of tapes.
More tentacles than the cephalopod exhibit at the Ripley's Aquarium.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's of course that of course never happened. I hope you can tell by the tone of her voice. But here's a real question. Do you watch hentai? Do you masturbate to hentai? Is that something you're into? No,
never did it for me really.
No. Yeah.
I remember back in the day. We've spoken about these glory days before, probably not on the pod, but the LimeWire Kazaa days,
yes,
and
of course.
stuff like that.
Yes. Kids these days, they don't understand how good they have it.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. It used to be really hard to get anything.
You had to download and commit to funny videos. You couldn't just go on YouTube and search funny cat videos. You had to download your funny cat videos and then so help you God, you better find them funny in perpetuity, because it wasn't as simple as just YouTubing whatever you wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I remember, you have sleepovers at friends' houses, and I feel like little boys' sleepovers are almost like, it's going to prison. You kind of learn something illicit or a trade or something and come back out in the real world and you're a bit more hardened. And I remember one boy in a sleepover showed me, I guess, hentai. But what was weird was that, I don't know, it must have been my early teens. What was really weird is that he had a pretty busted computer because, again, kids don't know. But your computer it was a desktop and you had a big CRT monitor that generally kind of stunk.
Yeah.
And it was just very grainy, pixelated. So I think I've seen hentai, but not crisp HD hentai that the kids are probably used to these days.
Cool devices.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So this is funny actually, because I don't even think I have an experience like that where somebody showed it to me when I was younger. I don't think I ever actually properly watched anything. I would watch some of the kind of, more fucked up movies like Ninja Scroll that has very light sort of tentacly stuff in it. It's not really too explicit.
Wicked City is more explicit.
Yeah, Wicked City.
Same director actually.
Yeah, I know. I like Wicked City a lot. but not for the tentacle stuff.
No, it's a cool concept.
But
sure.
Alex told me a while ago about this show, Cool Devices, which I think you had heard about on the Come Down,
Sure did.
our sister podcast.
Well, they were making fun of it, and basically, it was a whole episode. That's a lazy podcast. It used to be.
Well, I mean,
but
aren't they all?
But true. But the whole episode was basically just like the host kind of reading some of the plot descriptions of Cool Devices, and they read like a very blue comedy hour or something. Like they're pretty extreme. Well, and you watched them with your ex.
Yeah, so I heard about it and I thought, well, that'd be fun. So
baby.
I looked it up. and I found that you could buy the DVD, but that technically, like when it was released, so this series I think is from the late 90s, right? And I looked it up when whatever company like English company or English language company put it out for distribution in North America. It was technically banned in Canada, and like the DVD itself.
How'd you get it?
Well, I ordered it online and nobody found out. So from 1995 to 1997. No. I bought the DVD. I own a DVD that is not on the dark web. No, on like Amazon or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because it's not a law that is enforced, right?
Yeah. It's
something that came, like, it's some bullshit law that I think was just to make a point or something, right? Or to. So anyway, I watched it with my ex Jesse. And Jesse, if you're listening, well, he enjoyed it a lot more than I did. And we would watch them, right? We watched some episodes, right? And we'd be sitting there on the couch, like, like it was kind of a novelty at first, but like they are quite erotic. Although, of course, there's a lot of, I guess you could say, to use an overused word, problematic elements to them. There's a lot of, well, it's a BDSM show, right? But within that, there's also there's a lot of like sexual coercion and I guess rape and I guess uncomfortable power dynamics and other things like that are pretty extreme, and it's quite graphic as well. But in a way that it didn't feel like it didn't feel necessarily gross, because it was sort of like the world it creates. It kind of, everything sort of makes sense, like within that the logic of the Cool Devices world or whatever.
Yeah, but it's like a fantasy sci-fi, extreme bondage universe.
Yeah.
Now that's a cinematic universe I want to delve into.
Yeah. At the same time, after we'd watch an episode, maybe two in a row,
and then bang.
I would be like, okay, well, I don't really want to watch anymore. And Jesse was like, let's throw another one on, I don't think I'm outing anybody there. I'm pretty sure he would admit that. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't. Maybe I actually lent it. Maybe I don't. No, I think I still have it somewhere.
Okay,
but
good.
We can watch it sometime, and get in. Get naked except wearing a robe, maybe an open robe, and kind of just watch it and see what happens.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so, animation.
ParaNorman.
Animation is what we're talking about today.
But wait, before we get into it, I was just, it's been like a little over a week since we watched Paranormal Activity Next of Kin.
Great movie.
Well, it's been sitting with me.
Really?
Yeah, I've been, kind of thinking about it.
That's fascinating.
It comes up in my head, creeps in.
Okay. Wow.
And I just wanted to, because I realized it was something that we didn't talk about in last week's episode, and I just wanted to show some love where I feel like it was deserved. There were no scenes of people trying to pressure people to have sex on camera.
You're right. Wait, does that happen in Ghost Dimension? No, right?
No, it doesn't. But in Ghost Dimension, they watch all the old pornography that they were trying to shoot.
So really it is like remember in that episode we're talking about how it sort of is like spitting in the face of the legacy.
Truly.
Right? That is by far the worst.
Yeah, egregious.
Totally egregious.
Goes against everything the franchise stands for.
Yeah, that actually really bothers me. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Eubanks, I think it's William Eubanks.
Oh,
Eubank.
right. Yeah. I've forgotten about that guy.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself.
It couldn't be more different than a Paranormal Activity movie.
No, and you know what else couldn't be more different is ParaNorman. And I think the reason we're doing this, is that I think I made a joke, when I was reading out all the different Paranormal Activity movies we had to get to, weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's Next of Kin and there's ParaNorman, and then the joke
I liked it.
You liked it, and you said, well, we should watch it.
I kind of latched onto it.
You know what?
Also because we couldn't find the sidequel, which I'm sure is a 10 out of 10 best film in the franchise.
It's probably one of the better ones. It's at the very least different. But if you're looking at the franchise of the Paranorm franchise, and so within the Paranorm franchise, you have Paranormal Activity, Paranormal Activity 2, et cetera, and then Paranorman.
Yes.
So I would say this is one of the better Paranorm movies.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I might have enjoyed it more than the first Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, I was thinking while we were watching it, the podcast is young, but this might be the best movie we've watched so far.
This is the first movie we've watched together, me and you, in a long time that hasn't been tied to the Paranormal Activity franchise.
Yeah, and thank God.
And I can't believe, that era of our lives is over. What a ride.
In a year from now, things are going well. We're still doing the show. We're going to look back in these early days and we'll have a laugh,
Yeah.
We'll say, my
Maybe a
God,
cry.
how could we have ever done that to ourselves?
Yeah.
And as we tuck into, Tremors 10 or whatever, or Anacondas versus Lake Placid or whatever fucking thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Great.
But yeah, Paranorman. It's a stop motion animation from Laika Studios.
Yes.
From the States.
Yes, and you know who Laika is, right?
Everybody knows who
Everybody
Laika
knows
is.
who Laika is.
They're the
Space
most...
dog.
Oh, yes. You meant the original Laika.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dog that the Soviets, shot into space.
This is the first full feature film animated by a Soviet dog.
whose dead body is orbiting.
Yeah,
is orbiting the Earth as we speak.
Well, yes, I imagine that's what they named it. I mean, maybe Laika has another meaning, but
no, I'm pretty sure.
I imagine that's what they named it after. Yeah,
Laika is mostly known as the dog.
Yeah, the dog the Soviets shot up into space. Not the first animal, but one of the first. Mm-hmm. And God bless her.
She's a hero.
She's a total hero. Yeah.
There's a kid's book that's kind of about Laika, like the dog who chased the stars or something like that. I know this because I've read it to my partner's kids.
Oh.
And it's kind of weird because it takes this kind of cool cosmic spiritual look at Laika or something. But I remember it briefly has a bit of melancholy in it, the fact that they shot a dog into space kind of thing. And it's not about the literal space program and them shooting the dog. I don't remember. I need to reread it, but it's one of the more bizarre kid books I've read for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like that would open up a lot of questions for kids, right?
Why did the Russians shoot a dog into space? Well, it was something called the Cold War.
Yeah.
And the space race.
Wait, what is the Soviet Union and does it exist anymore, Complicated.
Yeah. Ask me again in 5 years.
Yeah, right.
The answer might be different.
So yeah, this is Laika's second film that they produced themselves. Mm-hmm. They had worked on as contractors, I think, for other films like Corpse Bride. I'm pretty sure is a Laika project, but as far as Laika's, let me see here. As far as their production goes,
as a studio.
Yeah, Coraline in 2009 was their first,
and then this was 2012.
And this comes out in 2012.
So this is actually, we're watching it for the 10-year anniversary of ParaNorman.
Yeah, everybody. This is the 10-year anniversary of ParaNorman.
Yeah.
It's August 2012. So we missed it.
We
missed it by a couple of months, but we got in there for the 10-year. That's crazy, isn't it? And films like this, animation like this.
I love stop motion animation.
Me too. Yeah. I and this like there are some design choices that are very peculiar, which we'll get into. But I'm crazy about this sort of thing. It's like kind of flawless almost.
It looks phenomenal. And when you do stop motion animation, you have to like really, believe in the project and stuff because like it's such a laborious form of animation. Maybe the most. I don't know.
It might be the most. I mean, I guess like traditional hand-drawn animation is pretty labor intensive. The thing is, it's all labor intensive. Like at this scale, pretty much any company that is taking on like a feature-length animated film of this size with this much, this many characters and this level of complexity, I think it's a pretty intense process. With the exception of those like knockoff 3D animated, you know, like the ones that are really cheap to produce.
Yeah.
That's not really what I'm talking about.
And it's just great to see, this American studio, it's their thing. It's kind of what they've been doing since.
Yes.
And, in the UK, they had Aardman, who did the Wallace and Gromit.
Oh my, those are so funny.
Those are great too. And the Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists.
I never saw that one.
I saw that in theaters, and me and my friend who went to go see it, Steve from Queen's University.
Steve Saarinen?
Yeah.
Steve Saarinen, if you're listening, come on the pod.
We'd actually love to have you.
Yeah, I love that guy. Yeah. I haven't seen him since university, but
we saw it in a theater in Toronto, and we were the only people in the theater.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, just me, Steve, and the Pirates. But it's a lot of fun. Aardman also kind of got into computer animation. They did like Flushed Away, where they did away with stop motion. I do think.
Yeah, I don't think I watched that either.
Stop motion's probably a giant pain in the ass. So
the Wallace and Gromit is so funny. Like
so good. I used to have the wrong trousers on VHS.
Cheese,
cheese,
Gromit, Gromit. Cheese. That's only those. It's funny because like the dog doesn't talk, right?
Yeah.
And then Wallace only says two words. He says Gromit, and he'll say cheese. Oh no, sorry, he says trousers too.
Right.
And it's amazing they can tell a story with just 3 words.
Truly, it's almost like Pengu.
It is kind of like Pengu,
like a big British Pengu.
Yeah.
But
cheese,
Gromit,
trousers.
Yeah, Wrong Trousers is great with the penguin who pretends to be a chicken.
I love that one. Yeah. That's one of the best.
Well, there were only like 3 original shorts.
Yeah, the shorts. Yeah, the shorts.
And then the movie's really good too.
I've never seen the movie. This is
the
crazy.
Were Rabbit.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's good. We'll watch that some point.
Yeah, and Shaun the Sheep, they did that too.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah,
yeah
I
nice.
I fucking
you are a
love
big
stop motion
guy. This is great.
And because even if the story and the writing and the characters aren't as good, the vocal performances, it's probably going to end up looking phenomenal. Corpse Bride is probably one of my least favorite.
Didn't see it. See, I'm really showing my ass here. I said I love stop motion. I haven't seen any of these.
Exposed. Oh, you like stop motion? Name every stop motion film.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen any of them. Sorry.
It's one of my least favorites, and I'm not.
Is it the Tim Burton-y kind of thing too?
Yeah, but it still looks really good.
Yeah.
Henry Selick rocks, obviously.
Yeah, but did he make Corpse Bride as well, or does he just do Nightmare? Right?
No, he directed Nightmare.
Yeah.
From Tim Burton's ideas.
Yes.
And then he also directed Coraline.
Yes.
And he did James and the Giant Peach.
Yes, which I rewatched recently.
Yeah,
I loved that movie as a kid, and I wanted to. I wanted to see it again, and I saw.
Don't tell me it doesn't hold up.
Oh no, it's great.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, it's really short.
Yeah, like that's the thing. These movies are shorter because I feel like
it's insane. Yeah, it's insane to do. James and the Giant Peach, I found to be quite freaky when I was a kid.
Yeah, the rhinoceros in the sky.
Yeah, that really freaked me out. Yeah. And seeing it again as an adult, I wasn't scared but the whimsy was still there.
Yeah,
you know, I'm a kind of a whimsical lad, with a childlike sense of wonder and whimsy.
Who just watches cool devices.
Yeah, who watches hentai with any adult partners, and it's and actually, like I didn't see Nightmare on Elm Street as a kid. I saw it. Sorry, stupid. I did.
What's this? What's this? I'm haunting your nightmares.
Yeah. Come here, bitch. I didn't see Nightmare Before Christmas as a kid. Excuse me. And I only saw it like a few years ago during Christmas with my family.
Yeah, it's magical.
And I like. Okay, it looks
it's like
amazing.
70 minutes long.
Yeah, you're right. It's short. The songs are all really good. Very, very good. Very impressive movie. And like after watching it, like, you know, it's like this like key unlocked the door in my brain, and now I fully understand like all those goth kids in high school who wore Jack Skellington Vans and like, you know, all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh, okay, like I get it, you know, I get it. He's a cool guy. He's a Skellington, and you know,
the Pumpkin King.
He's the Pumpkin King. He loves Christmas. I get it. Yeah, very impressive. And yeah, so you know, there's like a rich legacy of these movies.
Imagine it's James and the Giant Peach. But actually, I saw my friend who lives in New York, and he had a really funny theory that most social conversations people have are either they can be classified as remember when or imagine that conversation.
Sure.
But anyway, imagine.
Yes.
It's James and the Giant Peach, but instead of James, it's Ezio, Timothée Chalamet's character from Call Me by Your Name.
Oh yeah.
And he's just coming all over the peach.
Yeah. Instead of you sticking his penis into a peach,
he's in the peach.
He shrinks down. No. It's a giant peach, right?
Right.
So he's regular sized, and as he climbs up into the peach, like in the movie, he turns into stop motion guy with a big head, and he puts his whole body in the peach instead of just his penis.
Mm-hmm. But he comes all over it.
Well, the pleasure, would be immense.
And then, like, the horny gay grasshopper is just, like, eating it and kind of making him feel embarrassed by his own sexuality.
Yeah. Of course, played by
Armie Hammer.
Out of retirement. It's time that we as a society forgive Armie Hammer for his...
he didn't do anything wrong.
Cannibalistic tendencies. It's funny, though, that...
The new Luca Guadagnino film with Timothée is called Bones and All.
It's a cannibal movie, yeah. And it's
kind
like,
of
where's Armie?
Yeah, it's a spit in the face to Armie Hammer.
It's just kind of funny.
Not About Us Without Us, am I right?
Yeah, I actually I saw that movie. I took
really
my parents to it.
Okay.
And you know what?
You sick fuck.
It is actually it's a pretty weird movie for like a wide release that would get to be in the Collingwood, Ontario Cineplex.
Oh, okay.
Like they don't usually get a lot of, like when I go up there, it's like, you want to see a movie? What do they got? Like, okay, they'll get the James Bond, they'll get the Disney stuff, they get whatever else. Like there's usually one or two kids movies there, but there's not as many of the smaller releases. And then there's like Bones and All, you know. I was really impressed. Good for them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
I really want to see it.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. I don't think I loved it, but I did enjoy it, and cool. It is it's suitably weird.
Good.
Yeah, and there's a couple of really, really choice moments in it that I'm excited to talk to you about. One in particular that I think is really funny.
Okay, great.
I have another story, too, about a movie before we get actually talk about this movie. I'm going to keep this really quick, though, okay? I promise.
Take your time.
Okay, I'm going to slow it right down. Laika, if you're listening in space, come on the pod. I went to see Knives Out. No, 2.
Glass Onion.
Yeah. Glass Onion, a Knives
story.
Out mystery. Yeah. When it should be Glass Onion, a Benoit Blanc mystery or whatever, but people are stupid.
Or Glass Onion, a Beatles mystery.
What? Oh, yeah,
the song.
It's the Beatles.
The White Album.
Yes, they're all the movies are named after songs. Anyway, I went to see it in the movie theater because...
Oh, yeah, Radiohead.
Yeah, Radiohead.
I forgot.
I went to see it in the movie theater because Netflix allowed theaters to show it for a week. before you had to wait to see it on there. Yeah, which is funny because like I know they spent a lot of money to buy 2 follow-up sequels to Knives Out, which was I think a pretty decent success theatrically, but like people like these movies and like the theater was packed, right? Everyone was really excited and played really well. But that's not my story. My story is that I got in there. I went by myself yesterday. It was Cheap Tuesday and it was busy. Which I don't really like because I've had a lot of bad luck going specifically to Cineplexes. I don't want to sound too hoity-toity here, but like, there sometimes when you go to like a TIFF or even the Review to some extent, the Review is there's always annoying people there. Mm-hmm. There's annoying people at TIFF too. But when you go to the Cineplex, especially on Cheap Tuesday when everybody goes, like that's the only time I usually ever go there, right? Mm-hmm. It makes it worth it. So it's packed, and when it's packed, like, people talk. People are next to you, and they're on their phones. There's old people who are explaining the plot of the movie to each other. There's all sorts of stuff. You can't. And again, like I love the theatrical experience. I like seeing movies with other people, but also I hate it because other people are terrible and there's no etiquette. Yeah. And it seems like it's got worse after the pandemic, right?
You see, Daniel Craig's a dandy detective.
So I was sitting next to this guy. And this is one of the more interesting experiences I've had. There was a couple next to him, on the other side of him, who talked during the movie. And it was annoying. And they were really, like, annoying. They were, like, talking. They were trying to solve the mystery over the movie. And so I told them to be quiet. I asked them very politely. And then they wouldn't stop. And then near the end, I leaned over and said, shut up, shut up, right? And then they shut up. Okay, but it's not about them. It's about this guy. This guy is also there alone by himself, and we're sitting next to each other, right? He didn't, no indication that he's going to be weird. Sometimes with this older person, I'm starting to think, okay, well, this is my prejudice, my elder prejudice. They're going to talk or they're going to be this or that. Just a young guy, he's on his own, pretty inconspicuous. Anyway, we're both on our phones. The movie starts, or the trailers start, right? There's a trailer for a new Jim Parsons movie of the Big Bang Theory. He plays Sheldon. The punchline there is he's autistic. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
Yeah, bazinga, et cetera, et cetera. He's that guy. So it's him. He's and it's a romantic comedy, a gay romantic comedy between him and somebody else, and the other guy gets cancer or something. It looks really bad. Like, not a good movie, right? Mm-hmm. It's called Spoiler Alert. And Jim Parsons also, like, his voice is just, he sounds like he has like a children's TV voice or like a bazinga voice. He doesn't sound like a serious person. So it's just kind of, anyway, whatever. In the movie, in the trailer, there's a kiss between the two leads, the two men, right? And this guy next to me says out loud, "Oh fuck!" And then he puts his hands over his eyes and buries his head down as if he's like can't watch it. Like he was like, "Oh fuck!" And he buried, he like he's watching a scary movie, and he was like, "I can't see this," right? And I was like, I couldn't help but laugh, right? I laughed, and I think he thought I was laughing at the trailer, but I was looking at him, and he was just like, he was fully like, I can't handle this, right? And I wanted to say to him, like, in this movie they reveal that Benoit Blanc is gay, right? But I didn't say anything.
Is that true?
Yeah. It's a very offhanded, it's very Disney style, like.
ParaNorman.
Yeah, it's a very ParaNorman style. We'll get to that. We're going to talk about ParaNorman.
Well, that sounds like the kind of person you'd see in a Knives Out screening.
Well, it's pretty funny, yeah. But okay, one other thing. The movie starts, right? And for the first 10, 15 minutes, he's watching it. I'm watching it. I can't tell that he's not watching. I assume he's watching it. Then his head sinks. He falls asleep. This is not an old man. He falls asleep, and he falls asleep so hard that he's snoring. He's like actually like fully like, right? Yeah. Like really bad, right? And every now and again, a loud noise will be in the movie. There's a scene, in fact, where there's there's a significant loud noise that keeps happening again and again and again. And he would pop up and like look at it, and then he would go back down again. So he fell asleep for like for like 30-40 minutes of like the main chunk of the film. And then I don't think I'm giving away anything too much here to say that there's, in the middle of the film, there's then a flashback that goes back and shows you the scenes you had seen already from a different perspectives, and you learn other things. Right?
Classic mystery, right?
He is awake for that section, so he sees all of that and he loves it. He's like laughing and like clapping like a seal. And I was like, wait a minute, like unless this is the second time you've seen this movie, you don't know what's happening. Yeah. He thought the flashback he was watching was the full movie.
Yeah.
Right? And then he loved the ending. And he a couple times, as if he was trying to prove to me that he knew what was going on, he would say aloud that he would get the joke. Like a joke would happen, and then he would be like, haha, and he'd repeat it. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay. That's enough about that guy.
It sounds like one of the most insufferable people. I mean, but
it was
entertaining
too funny.
as well.
It was too funny to be for me to be upset.
That's what you get for seeing a Netflix movie in theaters.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I wasn't a fan of Knives Out, the first one.
Yeah, I think it's all right. I actually think it's pretty fun. And this one is fun, but it's very disposable. I've already forgotten about it. And the other thing that's kind of a bummer is that it's not really a murder mystery. I mean, I guess it is, but not in the way that I was expecting it to be, maybe, or not in the way that I wanted it to be. It's not really a good, juicy mystery. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what like a nice big juicy steak. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like a big fat juicy ass.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we're getting into it.
ParaNorman has ample of.
So what are we? We're
40 minutes.
Nearly 40 minutes in, and we're going to be talking about ParaNorman now. The first stop motion film to use a 3D color printer to create character faces, and only the second to be shot in 3D. Of course, we did not see it in 3D.
No, unfortunately.
But we didn't steal it either. I bought a secondhand Blu-ray, and we watched it in stunning 1080p.
That looked great.
It did look great.
The animation looks great. You know, as we discussed, we love the look of stop motion animation. So, you know, you can rest assured that the visual style is really cool. It actually reminded me a lot of have you ever played the video games Psychonauts or Psychonauts 2?
Yes, briefly I think I have, yes.
Yeah,
it does look like that.
Yeah, the characters all kind of have like weird oblong faces and stuff like that, and the angles of cars and stuff are a bit off. But it's a really fun look. And the animation is really fluid and great for stop motion, especially. Yeah,
lots of really busted character designs.
Yeah.
Very strange looking people.
Super stacked cast. Yes. And Casey Affleck plays a jock at the high school who's this like nerdy, chubby kid's older brother.
Yes, friend of the pod, Casey Affleck is back.
We love Casey.
We love Casey's performances, but not Casey the man.
And his character has like a chin that's almost as long as his like head. Yeah,
he's built, so he's the jock, so he has the triangle body shape, but they take it to an extreme.
Yeah.
So all of these character designs are very over accentuated and extreme. So he has like a extremely skinny waist and a huge broad shoulder and chest, right? And then every woman in this movie has a gigantic
fat
ass, a huge ass,
thick with like, multiple C's.
Yeah, like right from the beginning, it starts and Norman is watching a zombie movie on TV, and there's a woman being chased by a zombie, and I thought, I didn't say it out loud, but I thought like, well, she's got kind of a fat ass, because I didn't want to say anything out loud because it's not like I'm horned up for this stop motion, but then. Then in the next scene, we see Norman go to the kitchen and we see him and talking to his mom. His mom's got a huge ass. And then we see his teenage sister. I'm not trying to be creepy here, but she's got a giant ass.
Really thin waist, giant ass.
Yeah, we see
multiple. A police officer.
A police officer, the biggest ass in the movie. It's huge.
There's even a joke at the end where they're all the kind of main characters, this ragtag tag team who has to kind of solve this curse thing that's going on. They're all holding hands, and they're holding hands like below the frame.
Right.
And I guess kind of Norman's school bully is this character named Alvin, who's kind of a loser himself, and he's played by Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Yes.
Of McLovin fame. He goes to hold Norman's sister's hand, and she kind of like jolts, and she's like, "My hand, Alvin," or something, implying
he molested her.
But I mean, his hand was just pulled into the gravitational pull of her ginormous planetary ass.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah, so that's a very funny. That really puts it over. There are certain things in movies where I don't rank things with the star system very seriously, right? Mm-hmm. There are people on Letterboxd or even actual professional film reviewers who are like, will have this like formula where they get a number out of 100, or they get like this much earns this much or whatever, and that's kind of silly, right? However, there are certain things that will like take things up like a half star, a star at a time.
Giant clay asses.
Well, the fact that every woman in this movie has a giant ass is very funny.
Yeah.
Because it's for kids.
Yeah.
And I think kids will think that's funny.
There's a joke where, so what it is that Norman's like a kid who's kind of like Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense, where he could speak to dead people.
He sees ghosts all over town, wherever he goes.
And he's kind of ostracized by his family and community for it because he's kind of weird.
Yeah.
They write on his locker, freak and whatnot. And they live in a town called Blythe Hollow. And lots of like references and little things to other horror movies in this movie.
Filled with it, yeah.
It's very fun in that way.
It really is, actually. They're not like the references aren't gratuitous, and they're also not hollow. They feel like genuinely woven into the fabric.
And
of
they're
the movie.
loving.
They are loving.
Tell they're loving.
Yeah, it's really cute.
So they live in this town where something like the Salem witch trials happened 300 or so years ago.
Yeah, it's in Massachusetts.
Oh, so it's in Massachusetts.
It's in Massachusetts.
So, yeah, there you go. And there's like a curse, and every year, someone has to read a spell at this witch's grave, or else she causes the dead to rise up. We find out, it's a bit deeper than that. But needless to say, this year it falls on Norman to kind of do that, and it doesn't work out according to plan, so the dead rise. And one of the zombies rises up with his butt. You know how like there's shots of hands kind of poking through the ground, like one zombie comes ass up.
Yeah. There, it's a hand, it's a head, it's some feet, and then fully like it's fully like a ass shot, like a twerking kind of framed ass up. That was very funny.
Yeah. This movie, for all the kind of clever references and winks and nods to like horror films and stuff, it also has some like pretty goofy butt humor, which kids I imagine would love.
Yeah, and then sort of on the flip side, like back to some of the horror elements, it's a pretty genuinely frightening movie in terms of like imagery. I'm trying to imagine it from like a kid's point of view. Like you were saying, you would have frightened you as a kid, right? Some of this stuff.
So, yeah.
I think so for me, definitely.
Like a young kid.
Yeah.
But because all of it, it's still relatively lighthearted, but there are some elements that are capital D dark.
Yeah.
So basically, plot-wise, I don't know if you might not have been following along, and you might not have watched ParaNorman because we kept it as a surprise. If you haven't, pause now, watch ParaNorman, and then come back because we're going to get into the spoilers. But basically, these zombies come up, and everyone thinks the zombies are going to attack everyone. But really, they're the zombies of these pilgrims who kind of founded the town and who condemned this young girl to be executed for witchcraft.
Yeah.
And through these like really cool flashback scenes where Norman's kind of transported to this like dreamscape version of the past, he kind of relives her sentencing, and during that, it's a really well done scene.
Yeah, it is.
He sees that she's basically like the same age as he was.
She's like
she was
11
years old,
yeah.
And was just this like scared girl who could speak to dead people. And they execute her, and you kind of and they're all creepy looking Puritan pilgrims, and they accuse her of being a witch, and they kind of circle her. It's like it's pretty dark, and it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
They and it's not like far from the truth and what's happened and what still happens in some parts of the world. It's
yeah, absolutely.
It's good stuff.
It is, yeah, and it's and I think I was a little maybe confused with the messaging of the movie after that,
right?
Where Norman confronts the spirit of the witch and says, what you're doing, your stranglehold on this town, and so on. You're kind of just as bad as they are. You're being a bully, and I guess I understand what they're getting at, but they did kill her. Right?
She's an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah, and and also she does have magic powers. I also think that's kind of funny in a lot of like witchcraft media where, or Salem witch trials thing, where they reveal that witches actually are real. It's like, well, you Puritans were right.
You were right to drown those.
You were right to drown those little girls. Yeah. No, it is a little confusing, I guess, with that, where it's sort of like we can all get along and like forgive your oppressors sort of thing, which is it's like a bit odd, but I guess that's sort of the kind of message you want to have in like a kids movie.
Espouse empathy and stuff, but.
Yeah,
I'm kind of on board with you. Like at the end, because Norman kind of saves the day, they kind of like view him as a hero. I thought it would have been nice if they kind of like because the town's all kind of like built around this history and stuff like that. Like everything is named after witches. There's a hot dog restaurant called Witchy Wieners.
Yes.
And then at the end, like during all the pandemonium, the sign kind of gets busted and the W goes out. So it reads...
Itchy Wieners.
Yeah.
It's very funny. That's very funny.
That's a good gag.
It's a very good gag.
But, it's all based around this history of witchcraft, and it'd be nice if they showed that they kind of are like reconciling with the past and maybe have a statue dedicated to the young girl. Her name was like Agatha Prendergast or something, which is like Norman's mom's maiden name and stuff, because the person who kind of tells Norman that he has to do this and is part of this lineage is his like crazy uncle, who's voiced by John Goodman in like a little role at the beginning. And it's so funny, like I'm just kind of rattling this off and I remember like all these names and all this like stupid lore from one movie, and it's just like that's the difference when you're enjoying yourself instead when it's like all the lore is trying to be like shoved down your throat like in the Paranormal Activity movies, and I couldn't remember anything.
It's just like a more compelling movie, right? It's the story that it's telling is not necessarily groundbreaking, but they're telling it really well. And they're telling it visually, right, in a really interesting way, in a way that the Paranormal Activity movies like don't.
Are almost anti.
They are, and I guess that's kind of what makes them what they are, right? That's very specific security cam aesthetic, but like this movie is so, to use like a very critic pull quote kind of whatever, a visual feast, or visually resplendent or whatever other dumb way you want to say it. But it really is like it's beautiful to look at, and it does such a good job at like drawing you into every scene, right? I was really impressed.
I was as well, and this is the third Laika film I've seen. The other two being Coraline, which I saw in theaters, and Kubo, and
I have seen Kubo. Yes,
I think even when I'm not as super engaged in the story, like I had high hopes for Kubo because of the whole Japanese martial arts influence kind of thing. But the story just didn't hit me as hard as I would have liked. Neither with this. Like I thought like it had some really interesting, it's all about like communication and hearing out people and like listening and
and accepting people for who they are, for their differences and so on and so forth.
But like no matter what, visually, you know, stunning, and that alone makes it just more pleasant to watch than like many even animated films out there.
That are
kind of animated kind of like lifelessly and soullessly. I do think out of the three I've seen, Coraline is probably my favorite still.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably, that source material is probably where it comes from.
It's got a bit of that Neil Gaiman spookiness, kind of lifting it up just a tad.
I really
got to
see that. I don't know why I didn't see it when I was younger.
Yeah. Well, it came out, I think we were already like in first
19 or whatever. Yeah. Still, I like Neil Gaiman. I probably should have sat my ass down and listened, you know, but apparently not.
This is a movie about sitting your ass down and listening to zombies.
It's true.
And witches.
It's true. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, its message of forgiveness is a universal one that we can all take to heart. I forgive my bullies who tortured me relentlessly. And wait a minute. No, I don't.
But before it kind of gets into that, which it almost had to do, the message it was getting at of like, you know, acknowledging like historical wrongdoing and crime and stuff, I thought was like really good and powerful. And like, you know, instead of getting caught up in like a mob mentality around something and like blindly following or going on a witch hunt.
Yes, which the townsfolk do.
Quite literally.
The alive townsfolk. Yeah. In a way, you know, they're kind of like the zombies. What you think, eh?
I turned to you in the middle of this movie and I said, we are the monsters.
Yeah.
We're the monsters.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah.
It's the people who stood idly by while Notre Dame burned.
Yeah, sure. sure it is. Yeah. Really makes you think.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so, you know, what can you take away from this film? You can take away that message. You can take away the that it is kind of a gigantic ass parade, you know? Right? You can take away that
the first
witchcraft is real and
dangerous
and
the first major mainstream animated film to feasure an openly gay character.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah,
Casey Affleck's character.
Casey Affleck's character is the jock, and Norman's high school cheerleader sister is like, you know, lusting after this jock through the whole movie and flirting with him and so on. And at the very end, you know, he sort of says to her, "Oh yeah, like you should meet my boyfriend or whatever," right? And it's a funny joke, and it's the kind of thing that like it's really funny in retrospect now because Disney. This is not a Disney movie. Disney makes a huge deal about inserting some very light kind of phony fake ass gay theme or gay character, or say, oh, like LeFou in Beauty and the Beast is gay, and it's like, okay, well, does he say he's gay? Does he kiss a guy? Is he dating a guy? Well, no, it's that he dances with a guy in one scene or something like that. Or it's like
they had a character in Lightyear who was like dating someone.
There's a
the
lesbian
same
couple
sex.
in Lightyear.
Yes, that was it. And again, it's kind of faux progressive and stuff because I feel like they drum up their own kind of publicity and outcry.
That's the thing, right?
ParaNorman came out 10 years ago, literally 10 years before Lightyear.
Yeah.
And I don't, according to the Wikipedia, there was a bit of humdrum around it.
Sure, I'm sure there was.
But like, I don't remember it like on the same level as a Lightyear or something like that.
Yeah, well, and the people, it's like, oh, boycott Lightyear because there's like a 2-second scene where it's like, it looks like these two women have a relationship of some kind. But it seems to me the sort of because you know, Disney is in control of media all around, the press, et cetera, and they manufacture their stories and their controversies and so on. And I don't think they intend. I don't think they put these moments in their films intentionally to make controversy necessarily. But I do think that they when they publicize it, are essentially asking for a little pat on the back, which is rich. It's really rich, right? Because Disney is responsible for, you know, like an extremely long legacy of racist and misogynist, and I think less confident about this, but I'm sure homophobic propaganda in a lot of their films, right? And I know this is sort of part of their kind of like, well, this is the modern Disney, and look, and we are inclusive, et cetera, et cetera. But it is hard for it not to feel phony because of who is producing it and because of how they are trying to sell it as revolutionary. And it's funny, it's like, oh, well, they're ignoring, you know, like decades of queer art and saying, well, this is the first exclusively gay this, and this is the first this. And just seeing this movie where it's not just something that is implied, it is like actually a statement made by a character saying, I have a boyfriend, like a man saying, I have a boyfriend. It's not some look between two male characters that you could read as gay if Disney told you to do so. It's actually part of the text of the film. And it's used as a joke, kind of, but the joke is not on the gay characters. No. The joke is on the dumb sister.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
So, you know, shove it, Disney, you know, like, let's go unfreeze Walt Disney and beat his ass.
With our dicks.
With our dicks.
No, and it's always in Disney, you know, those kind of moments are relegated to very cuttable moments for Chinese release.
Yes, and other countries. Where it's not okay to be gay in many places. So,
and I suppose they could have done this with this movie too, but
maybe they had to. I don't know.
It was kind of funny, like in the blurb I read, it was saying how some people were like, this might prompt, you know, unnecessary conversations in the drive home from the theater with the children in the car, having to explain about sexuality and homosexuality, and it's like, grow up.
Grow up. You know what happens? Do you know what happens if you don't talk to your kids?
Zombies.
Well, sure. But you know, do you want your kid to grow up to be an adult man who goes to the movie theater and sees two men kiss in a trailer and goes, oh, fuck, and buries it, like, you know? Do you want to be that guy?
That's embarrassing.
Do you want to? It was really funny. Oh, boy. I kind of wanted to say something, right? But I couldn't because there was nowhere else to go sit, right? And this is why those people, when the people were talking too, it was like, I'm trying not to be aggressive because it can create a lot of tension, right? But there was nowhere else for me to go. So I really had to be like, shut the fuck up. You're not at home. This is not Netflix, okay? You're not at home snuggled up on the couch. You're here in public where I have to listen to you. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, good.
They were stupid too. That makes it worse. It makes it worse when they were finishing the lines of the people in the movie, but they're saying the wrong things. Yeah. Like they're like finishing jokes for characters, but they're wrong. They're not. They don't know what the movie is, and they're saying stupider versions of the lines that the characters are saying.
That's really so funny annoying. That they were just getting it wrong.
Yeah,
like I'm picturing like half a second before something happens, they're like, oh, and then like this guy's gonna like walk in through the door, but instead like someone comes busting in through the window.
Yeah, it was exactly
they're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
It's not as if like, you know, Wallace Shawn and Andre Gregory were sitting and having like a very deep...
No. We have to do the My Dinner with Andre series.
Because there's a couple of them, right? There's a few of them. No, I think there's multiple. No, there are.
Not of that. There's multiple movies where they're both in it.
Okay,
there's only that movie. It's not a trilogy.
Well, it's something.
You're thinking of the Jonathan Demme, the Master Builder thing and the Vanya on 42nd Street? I don't think those are technically... We have to do the Taking of Pelham trilogy. There's
1, 2, 3.
Pretty good, huh? I thought about that joke in the shower, and I was like, I gotta tell this to Alex.
Well, and this is that moment. Yeah, it's worth every penny.
It was worth every penny.
We do have to do Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original and the remake.
Yeah, so a little note on the series, right? Like franchises, what does that mean?
Buzz.
It's whatever we want it to be, right?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow.
Yeah. So we did Paranormal Activity 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera, et cetera.
ParaNorman.
Why not? Who gives a fuck?
You have a copy of the Japanese sidequel?
No.
You talk a big game.
Yeah. And you know what? If we want to call it a franchise, but really it's just a movie from the 70s and then a shameless reboot of it in the 2010s, we're going to do it, right? And you know what's great? I haven't seen either of those. And I love Tony Scott.
Me neither.
Yeah. And I love whoever made the original one.
And if we wanted to do The Parent Trap, because it has the letters PAR in the title in succession, we can do that. Am I right, Ben? We can fucking do that. Whatever. Next week. We're doing The Parent Trap.
We're not doing The Parent Trap.
Listen in.
Yeah. We could do those movies, though. I liked that, the Lindsay Lohan one as a kid. I thought it was charming. I don't think I've seen the original one.
I don't.
Is it Jodie Foster?
I haven't seen any of them.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to the man boy who voices
the man boy
Paranorman.
Oh yeah,
is our good friend of the pod, Cody Smith McPhee. We don't know Cody Smith McPhee,
not yet,
but we love his work.
We're big fans of KSMP.
I like KSMP. He was in Slow West, which was a movie that I really, really enjoyed.
I also like Slow West. He's good in it. And then he plays kind of a similar character in Power of the Dog.
Yeah, I guess he's a big revisionist Western guy. Guy. Yeah.
Well, and The Road is something of a Western in a way. That was his big breakout part.
It's a way less sexy, Bones and All. Am I right?
Yeah. Oof. Bones and All is pretty sexy. In its own way.
Sooty Viggo Mortensen? No, thank you. I'll take
really.
pink-haired Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, that movie is fun. Oh, I can't wait till they do Bones and All 2 so we can talk about it on the podcast.
I can't wait till they do Power of the Dog 2.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Bronco Henry's Revenge.
Yeah, or a prequel with Bronco Henry. That could be good. Yeah.
Me and Bronco Henry, we would...
Bronco Henry. Okay, so I like Power of the Dog.
Me too. I like it a bunch.
Good movie. It's juicy. When we're talking about something that's juicy, that's a juicy nut. It's a nice juicy steak, right? It's big. It's bold. It's a lot of emotions. Yeah. It's juicy. It's twisty.
And it does have food for thought.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a big piece of meat.
Yeah, it's not. It's
gay.
The
right?
more
it's
got everything I like.
And then what's his face?
Casey Affleck.
No. Oh God damn it, Mr. Mustache, Sam Mustache.
Sam Shepard.
Not Sam Shepard.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Mustache. Sam Elliott saying, "There ain't no place for gay cowboys." He's like, "Shot New Zealand, my ass." It's so funny. I can't do his voice. He's got to, who could do his voice? It's hard. But
Bronco Henry would take me out camping and eat beans out of my asshole. Yeah. That's my best Benedict Cumberbatch in that movie.
Yeah.
Bronco Henry.
Bronco Henry really is one of the best character names in movies for years.
He's one of the greatest,
that is so funny,
unseen characters. He's not in the movie, but his presence is felt. By the end of it, he tells enough Bronco Henry fucking anecdotes that you feel the weight of his presence.
Yeah,
and
we should all be so lucky to have been groomed by a man named Bronco Henry. Only to then pass on that tradition of grooming to a young Cody Smith McPhee.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. The more I sat with it and thought about it, the more I was like, I actually really dug that.
You want to know a fun fact? It's based on a book, right?
Yeah.
And Jesse read the book.
Okay.
And the book...
Get over your ex, man.
we already brought up Jesse.
I know. Get over your ex, dude. You living in the fucking past, man. I'm worried about you.
We just saw each other a few weeks ago.
I'm worried about you, dude.
Shut up. It's based on a book that then the writer Annie Proulx, I think is how you would say her name.
I think it's pronounced Bronco Henry.
Bronco Henry, who wrote Brokeback Mountain.
So she has a thing.
That's where she took it from. No. It's not. She didn't write it. A Western, another guy wrote it. A Western guy, a cowboy guy. Wrote the book in maybe the 50s or whenever it was, and then then the writer of Brokeback Mountain had read that and took elements of that for her own gay cowboy novel. Because I remember watching it, I was like, oh, this has similar themes to Brokeback, not just in terms of gay cowboys, but also like this like sort of repression and so on. Mm. And it's straight up taken from, it's inspired by that.
There you go. Yeah. This, all ties into my theory that cool begets cool. Things that are cool influence things that are cool.
Like this podcast, right?
What is this going to influence?
Well, not many. It's like it's the Velvet Underground story, where not many people necessarily downloaded our podcast, but those who did all started a podcast of their own.
We love you. We love all of you.
We do love all of you.
Look, I'm not going to go ahead and assume something as crazy as our 10 regular listeners each have 10 friends to tell the what the fuck?
Yeah, 10. No, I know what you're getting at. 10 friends is a lot of friends for losers like you guys to have.
Yeah, but if you could tell one or two of your film-loving, equally losery friends about the pod, we'd really appreciate it. We're trying to build an empire.
Yeah. We're trying really hard to sell out, and obviously we're not going to be able to sell out for a few more years, and that's okay. But the more work you can do to help us become big sellouts, the better, right?
Just tell your film friends.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're doing Die Hard next, right? Yeah. That's a sellout. And then eventually, at some point we're going to do something really unique. We're going to be like we're going to do the Antoine Doinel, we're going to do the Francois Truffaut 400 Blows, et cetera, movies. Oh. And no one's going to listen to that. Yes. And then we're going to do fucking Star Wars, and everyone's going to be like, oh, we love Star Wars. And then we're going to do,
Do you really need, 2 more people's opinions on the Star Wars saga?
What can we possibly say about those movies, right?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit, right?
You know what we think about fucking Star Wars.
Well, it's just going to be us.
Blows.
Yeah, it's going to, well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I like some of them. It's going to be us. It's going to be us doing all the voices and doing all the lines and da. And
then being like, imagine if, Han Solo was just rattling off anecdotes about Bronco Henry.
Yeah, right? It's going to be dumb.
Cross-pollination, But that's what we're building towards, right? Is the future, it's going to be the cinematic omniverse, which is a theory we kicked around in the first rendition of this pod.
Tell me this.
I
wasn't around.
Moving towards it, where it's going to be a cinematic omniverse, where all characters from all of cinema live in the same media dimension.
Okay. You mean like Space Jam: A New Legacy, where they're playing the Space Jam game, and then in the background there's the Clockwork Orange characters, and there's the Droogs are in it. Yeah, no, it's like all the Warner Brothers characters.
Oh, that's
the Iron Giant is there.
That sounds rough.
Yeah, you know what? That was the first movie I saw back at theaters after the pandemic.
Ooh.
Yeah, I went by myself.
It's a good one. I can't remember.
I hated it. The first one, if you watch it now, is like pretty rough, right?
Yeah.
I loved it as a kid though.
Yeah.
Because I liked the Looney Tunes, and this was like the closest thing to a Looney Tunes movie at the time before Back in Action came out.
Yeah.
Which is the superior film, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll get to the Looney Tunes franchise at some point.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, every Looney Tunes short gets 1 full hour episode. That would be the death of the podcast.
But that's it. That's a wrap on Paranorma.
Yeah,
that's a wrap on the Paranorma franchise.
Yeah.
And next time you hear us, we'll be talking about fucking Die Hard, man.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Is it a Christmas movie?
Die Hard?
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I mean, like...
Wait, do you mean like Die Hard 1988? Die Hard?
John McTiernan.
Yeah.
Snape.
Bruce Willis.
Alan Parsons.
Yeah, Snape. Yeah.
What's his name?
Alan
Rennick.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
I totally knew that.
You're talking about Die Hard, the action movie.
But think about it. It
Right.
takes place over Christmas. Because like the
What?
office building, it's celebrating Christmas or something.
It's a Christmas
isn't it?
party.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh. I actually never really thought about that. Do you know what's interesting? In my opinion, things can only be one thing, right?
Yeah.
So like Die Hard is an action movie. It can't be anything other than that. It can't be two things at once. You can't hold two ideas. You can't hold two competing ideas in your head at the same time, right? That's what idiots do. So what are you talking about? It's an action movie.
Well, but what if you watched it over the holidays?
Are you trying to tell me that any movie that I watch in the month of December is a Christmas movie because I'm watching it within proximity of Christmas?
And it also takes place during the same time?
It's a lot to think about.
This is all that next week's episode is going to be.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough.
Fucking
We're gonna repeat all of these jokes next week, so get ready.
Make my day.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yankee Doodle Dandy. And when we get to the sequels, we're definitely going to drop in that clip of the Ben Stiller show, which is a pretty funny show back in the day. Sketch show, kind of a Mr. Show-esque, featuring Bob Odenkirk actually.
Oh.
Janine Garofalo, my one true love, and
Leave Janine Garofalo alone.
Sorry,
man.
I'm sorry.
Stop sending her.
Janine, come on the pod, please.
I have something for you.
Janine. and he who shall not be named, Andy Dick.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
He went off the bad man.
He's always been a bad man. But there's a sketch they do with that's like Die Hard 7 or something, and he's in like a supermarket, and there's one, and Ben Stiller does a very good Bruce Willis. He's got the whole prosthetic hair, he's got the hairline thing going in, and I think the great actor Taylor Negron is like the effeminate European bad guy, right?
Of course.
It's a good sketch, and he says something like, "How could the same thing happen to the same guy so many times?" You know, that's like, listen, it's funnier when he does it.
Yeah,
we'll drop it in there.
That was really good though.
We'll drop it in there.
Okay.
And so I'm looking forward to this. These are going to be good movies. Like I have seen 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you have seen?
One.
You have only seen the first one.
Yeah.
I envy you. Although I will say I've seen one a bunch of times. Every Christmas. It's
Wait,
a
why would you
tradition.
watch it around Christmas?
I'm a wacky guy. But then I was living with a guy and he was like, he hadn't seen the sequels. He told me I hadn't seen them. No, wait, I hadn't seen the sequels, and he was getting up in my face about it.
Oh.
So 2, 3, we watched. 4, I have seen one time ages ago in the theaters when it came out, and 5, never seen. And you haven't seen any of them, so it's going to be an adventure for us.
It's going to be awesome, and looking forward to it. And check out ParaNorman. It was a nice little, beautiful stop motion animated movie.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's the best movie we've watched so far. Next week, it will be eclipsed by Die Hard as the best movie we've watched so far. I like Die Hard. I think it's a very good movie. Will it be better than ParaNorman? I'm pretty sure it is, but we'll have to see.
Bruce Willett.
Bruce Willett, yeah. As the great philosopher Heraclitus of Ephesus said, you never step in the same river twice, right? So we're going to see Die Hard tomorrow, and maybe I'll have a whole new perspective on it, and I won't like it anymore. We'll find out tomorrow, next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, turn this shit off. Goodbye, everybody.